You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Radio Show, only on Financial News and Talk. Now live in studio, your host, local and national real estate expert and consumer advocate, Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender on Ron Siegel Radio. I think I've got his walk-up music right here.
Welcome back.
Beef, Wellington Pendell is with us. Welcome.
That is one of my favorite shows of all time. I've got to admit, Welcome Back, Carter. That has got to be one of the best shows of the 70s. Love that show. Welcome. Oh, thank you. And thank you for that welcome, that warm welcome. I appreciate that very much. And I am a repeat offender here at the Ron Siegel Show. And it's always good to, get up early in the morning, at least once every couple of months. So I appreciate that.
He's in the real estate industry. So the real estate people don't get up early ever.
Well, there's no saying, realtors get up just in time to take their nap. So.
There you go. Oh, okay, that one works. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you, even if you don't have any needs today. Save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today, although we are going to get into some pretty serious stuff. I wonder if it's because of the Grammys, National Jewel Day. I didn't watch the Grammys, but I understand they have a lot of jewelry there. I don't know. National Canine Veterans Day. Love our canines and the veterans. So National Canine Veteran Day, celebrate that. National Napping Day. Isn't that a day that ends in Y? In my world, you start pretty early. I'm not although I have a real estate license, I am not a realtor. I do start early, about 4:30 every day. So napping is part of the curriculum. Open an umbrella indoors. I think we're going to need an umbrella outside the next couple of days. But having beaten anorexia, I'm going to go with National Coconut Tort Day. That one looks pretty good to me. So there are our celebrations of the day. Probably not going to be celebrating a whole lot in the stock market right now. Let's see. We've got this roller coaster going in the stock market. So right now, as I'm speaking, Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 202 points. It's been up today. It's been down today. It's going to get more volatile. The S&P 500 is up 26. The NASDAQ is up 144. Oil's down 85 cents a barrel. And the 10-year Treasury, down 21 basis points, 3.495. Just recently, it's not that long ago, it was pushing the 4 level. And now we're at 3.495. Why? Well, here's the issue, and I'm going to give it to you, all of it. It's all because of banking and, okay, we got to start at the very beginning. So we've got this problem in Washington, D.C., and it translates to the rest of the country. The problem is they've got a spending problem, and it does not matter whether you are a Democrat or a Republican. Both of them love to spend money. Trump added $6 trillion to the national debt, and Biden's trying to beat him. What does that do?
And he probably will beat him.
He probably will beat him.
He's on pace.
Exactly. So what does that do? That basically, inflation is defined as too much money chasing too few goods. Well, you got all this money that's coming out of Washington, and it doesn't matter whether it's the pandemic or whatever the whole issue is, too much money being printed and spent. That's step one. Then you go to the Federal Reserve, and they're clueless. So in 2021, the Federal Reserve comes out and says, well, the inflation is transitory. I don't know what the heck transitory means. It's here to stay. Do you really believe that egg prices are going to go down? Do you really believe McDonald's is going to start charging less than $4.50? I just saw this yesterday for a large French fry. Do you think these prices are going down? No. Do you think that, well, gas prices are manipulated, so they could go up, they could go down. We never know on that one.
The McDonald's near my house has got 2 Egg McMuffins for $5.50 today, so I'm taking part in that. So that's a reduction in inflation right there.
Okay, so that helps.
It does help.
So, but here's the issue. We've got this inflation problem. The Federal Reserve decided it's transitory, so we will do nothing. And they sat on their hands all of 2021 and did absolutely nothing to try and solve the problem. Okay, now we come to 2022 and they wake up and they say, we've got an inflation problem. Now, we've been talking about that on Ron Siegel Radio for quite some time. There is this inflation problem, and you got to, oh yeah, I know they don't do that. They just follow along. They do absolutely nothing to solve the problem. But what do they do? Sheeple. Back in March of last year, they decide they're going to start increasing interest rates. Okay. They should have done it in 2021, but they wait till 2022 and they do it, and they do not stop. Now, interest rates take time to get through the system. When the Federal Reserve changes the rates, if you're looking at about 6, 12, 18 months down the road is when we feel the full effect. Well, they don't stop. They just keep on increasing rates and increasing rates and increasing rates. And now, there was a dialogue, if you haven't seen it, I will share it with you, between Senator Kennedy, I think he's from Louisiana, and Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve. And they're saying, well, in order to get inflation in check, if history repeats itself, we need an unemployment rate to go up over 10% to get back to that 2% guide that the Federal Reserve wants. But wait, we've got a problem here. The Federal Reserve has increased interest rates so much that now the unintended consequences of them not watching what's going on and not giving time to settle has caused a problem in the banking industry. Did you notice that over the weekend, Silicon Valley Bank shut down? Now, I will share with you that I did listen to the president's commentary this morning, and I agreed with a couple of things he said. They should have done this in 2008, 9, 10. They did not. But I think that it's good. So according to the president this morning, the management of the bank will not be kept. They made a mistake. They caused this problem. They're out. Okay, I get it.
Well, that's unusual, actually holding people accountable for what they're doing.
Being accountable.
Boy, we never do that in Washington, do we?
Right. The next step is the investors in the bank are not going to be made whole. There is consequences for risk. You want to get a high risk return? Yeah, you might lose your money. That's what happens to us every day, all day. Well, it doesn't usually happen to the elites, but the bank, the president said, if he holds true, the shareholders will lose their money, and I don't wish that ill on anybody, and the management will lose their jobs, and the depositors will be made whole based on the FDIC insurance. We'll see if that happens, if there's enough there. So that's the question mark that's going on in that one. Now, what does that mean? How do we deal with this? And how did it happen? Well, it happens like this. There's a run on the bank. The bank puts their money, if they don't have anything to invest in at a given time, they put their money into treasury bonds. Well, these treasury bonds, the interest on them has gone up. The yield has gone up. We've talked about this many, many times. When yield goes up, the price goes down. So think about this like your car. You just went out and bought a new car, and oops, I lost my job. I want to sell the car. Well, you might say that I paid $30,000 for the car. Are you going to get $30,000 for that car? No. The value of it went down. Prices, maybe you'll get $20,000 for it. Same thing happens with these treasury bonds. So the treasury bonds that were bought, and it was based on a yield of, say, 3%. Now we look at the 10-year treasury, And the yield on that 10-year treasury is not 3%. The yield on the 10-year treasury, I think I just told you that number. I don't remember it. I'm old. Is, well, today it's 3.5%, but the correlation still works the same. So you go to sell that treasury bond. Oh, why would I want to buy a treasury bond from you at what you paid for it if I can't get the yield? The value went down on that bond. So now that bond that maybe you paid, and I'm just going to throw out a number. Don't worry about what the number is. It's for example purposes. So you might have paid $2 for the bond. Now the market says, well, in order to get the yield where it should be, we're going to only pay you $1.50. But Silicon Valley Bank needs money, just like you needed money when you went to sell that car. They need money, so they've got to sell that. And now they don't have enough money because they were getting hit for $500,000 a second on a run on the bank. People calling the bank or not calling the bank. They went online and they said, send me my money. Well, it used to be in the olden days, you had to go to the bank. You had to get in line to get your money. Now with the internet, thanks to Al Gore, you don't have to do that. You can just go online and say, send me my money. $500,000 a second being drawn on the bank. Where does the bank get that money? They have to go and sell these bonds, but they're not getting as much money from the bonds as what they paid for it. So they're losing money. As they lose more and more money, they end up getting hit by the regulators. The regulators say, you don't have enough in reserves, and we're going to shut you down because you don't have your reserves right. That was something that was changed in the Trump administration, which the president came out and said, because every administration blames the prior administration for everything. But the Trump administration during COVID did relax some of the reserve requirements. They've never been changed back. I wonder who was responsible for that. Probably both Trump and Biden, but that's neither way. But Silicon Valley Bank doesn't have the money for that. Now, 30 more banks. Now, Silicon Valley Bank was not a little bank. It wasn't like your mom and pop on the corner. It was the 16th largest bank in the country. Well, people start looking at it and saying, well, if this happened to Silicon Valley Bank, could it happen to my bank? They start pulling their money out of their bank. You get a run on the banks. As of about an hour ago, there were 30 banks where their stock was halted. Uh-oh. Now, what does that mean going forward? What that means is the Federal Reserve, which was increasing interest rates to deal with inflation, now has to get these interest rates back down. When they bring the interest rates back down, the bond price goes back up, and then the banks can sell their assets, which is the bonds, and be able to pay people who want to take money out of the bank. Do you see the vicious circle? Now, what is that going to do for inflation? Well, inflation is not that. That's what the Federal Reserve has been fighting, and now that they're going to lose that battle, so we'll probably have more inflation. But the kicker is, the Federal Reserve has been so ignorant that the chairman comes out and says, we're data dependent. Well, the data he looks at, or they're looking at, is old data. We've talked about that. Just in shelter costs alone, that would be your home, your rentals, that would be the Airbnbs, hotels. The numbers that they're looking at on those are based on a year ago. They're not based on current data. We've seen the market has slowed down in the real estate industry. So if they were to actually look at the real data, real-time data, instead of going by what some of these characters use, our inflation would be closer to 3.5%, which is closer to what the Fed wants it at, but they're not looking at that. So the fact is, based on all these things happening, we might actually see some benefit to this bank closing, and it might help the real estate market. It might help your home loans. It might help bring down your cost of living. Some of those things might be beneficial to you. We're going to talk more about that in the days and weeks to come, but we'll see what happens. That's just giving you a little bit of an indication on what's going on in the marketplace. Good morning, Vanessa. Glad to have you with us. There's a lot going on there, but we're going to talk more with Beef Wellington when we come back about this and more subjects. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
79% of all credit reports have errors that should be corrected through factual disputing. You could be saving thousands every year if your report was accurate. CreditSanitizer.com provides a free credit report audit when you furnish a specific $1 credit report. You can use this information to request corrections to your report and potentially save thousands of dollars. Get your free credit audit at CreditSanitizer.com. That's CreditSanitizer.com for a free credit report audit. CreditSanitizer.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Glad to see you with us, Dave Silva. And I will tell Beef you said hello.
Hello there, Dave Silva.
I'm glad to have you with us. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial when you're ready for that next home loan. Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. 30-year conforming loans, Friday, they were down, 6.69%. Jumbo loans, they were down 6.609%. 30-year FHA loans, those were down 6.583%. 30-year USDA, generally no down payment in the rural areas. Those were down 6.519. And the best loan on the market for those that earned it was down the most on Friday. The 30-year VA loan, 6.272. Those are interest rates as provided by OBMMI. It does not tell us how many points were paid or received to get those rates. They just report the rates based on their 35% of mortgage transactions. As of right now, we're looking, the S&P 500 is up 37. The 10-year Treasury is down 19 basis points. Mortgage-backed securities are up 89 basis points. Why are they different? Well, the 10-year Treasury, that bond, the yield is going down, so the price is going up. And on the mortgage-backed securities, the bond price is going up, so interest rates are dropping. And it all has to do with what I was talking about in the prior segment. We're going to get more into that. In fact, Beef and I will have a chat about it. That what's going on with the banks, and the banks are just having these issues. So let's try this one other way. Banks making money. So banks take your deposits, pay you a small amount of interest, then either lend that money out or invest it at a higher rate than what they paid their depositors, making the spread between the two of them. As an example, deposit $100,000, bank holds $10,000, 10%. They try to make money with the rest. If they pay you very little, like 0.5% on $100,000, then, and that's $500 a year in interest. But if they can make 2% on $90,000, they make $1,800. Net is $1,300 on the depositor. Multiply that on tons of clients to make money. Or they invest in a longer-term asset and make the money there. But there's a special provision in 2008. Held to maturity assumption on agencies, not subject to market fluctuations. Banks are not forced to mark to market because of Dodd-Frank. Now, you don't have to suffer market losses. They go under Tier 1 capital. They don't have to show negative equity on their balance sheet. That's what I was talking about before, where the bond value dropped. They don't have to show it because they say, oh, we're just going to hold this forever. Many banks, like Silicon Valley Bank, bought mortgage-backed securities when rates were at 3%. Getting them a 2% coupon, but the Fed has hiked 450 basis points, 4.5% since last March, which was too much medicine, all in response to inflation that the Fed was responsible for creating. Paranoia. Powell and the Fed's desperate attempt to save face. Continue to use their words, data dependent. This means they're driving while looking in the rearview mirror. Should it call it old data dependent is what they should say. Jobs data, they don't know how to read it. We've already talked about that. The shelter inflation is lagging. What's the result? Because of raising rates so quickly, the money you've loaned and invested is locked into a return for a period of time. You may have to pay a bit more to existing depositors. Now you have significant alternatives of where to put your money. Now you put your money in other places. So now you have to withdraw your money from the bank. And the bank only has 10%. They've got to start selling assets and show losses or come under scrutiny. That's what this is all based on. And I can go on with this, but I don't want to confuse you any more than I already have. Bottom line is the banks have to raise money. That's the problem. Federal Reserve is going to have to reduce interest rates to solve the problem that they caused. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready, when you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. Dave, please don't tell this to Beef. I'm gonna show it on screen, and I'm not gonna say that you're gonna say Beef is gonna be good, because no one's gonna believe that.
No one would ever believe that. Okay, I've never been good in my life. Okay, I've only been bad at being good, or good at being bad, or one of the two. Who knows?
Our friend Beef Wellington Pendell from the Career Compass. He is the trainer of realtors throughout the state of California. Number one trainer of realtors.
Oh, I'm the assistant bucket holder to the janitor on probation, in training. That's what I am for the entire state of California. Yes. It's amazing. We just did a survey the other day, and it looks like that this ugly mug of mine actually speaks to more realtors face to face than any person in the state of California. And that $1.25 will get me on the bus across town. So I've got that.
Not with inflation. Now you need $1.50.
That's true. So $1.50 and my face will get me on the bus. And so I do speak to a lot of realtors. Not sure if it's doing any good, but you never know. And by the way, before I forget, did you mention sarcastically just now, Ron, that Al Gore did not invent the internet? Because he did, and I can prove it right here, right now. You want me to do it?
Yes.
Well, that's why they call them algorithms. There you go. Good morning, everybody. Wake up.
Wait a second. I think I.
Hey. All right. I'll be here all week. Tip your waitress. Try the veal.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay.
Yeah, you and me both.
So, what do you think? Did I could totally confuse everybody with that thought on what's going on with Silicon Valley Bank?
Oh no, not at all, Ron. No, everybody just was hung on every word and understand that completely. My God,
sure.
Are you kidding?
Basically, the banks just need money.
The banks need money. Wow. Is that a rhetorical statement? Is that a circular statement? How does that? The banks need money.
And they can't get it, right?
Isn't that where we put our money in the first place? And they need more money.
And they need more.
I got it.
So,
okay.
And the Federal Reserve is going to help.
Well, the Federal Reserve, where they create money. Oh, wait, they print money. Or they just invent it out of thin air.
See, the beauty of it, since Al Gore invented the internet, we don't need to print it. We just say, okay, my balance sheet is now not 1 trillion, it's 2 trillion.
That's the whole thing.
We just keep spending it.
Yeah. Well, instead of printing money, just move the decimal in everybody's bank account and everybody will be fine. There you go. You don't have to invent it. You just move the decimal. It's all electronic anyway.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
It's amazing how this whole thing goes down. But, the bottom line, though, is for those that are involved in real estate or, have been waiting to get in, it should be good, should be helpful, just because interest rates are going to have to come down. And it's going to make things more affordable for people. Well,
the whole idea, and you mentioned it before, the whole idea of raising interest rates to curb inflation, it's like we all know that's a dotted line effect. I mean, the way I liken it is if your bedroom is cold, lighting your neighbor's house on fire to warm up your bedroom is the same thing as raising inflation rates to curb or raising interest rates to curb inflation. There's a dotted line, but those two things don't have to exist in the world, because there have been many administrations where we had very, very low inflation and very, very low interest rates. So we all know that those two things can coexist.
Sure, exactly. And so the big issue here becomes, what are we going to do to get the inflation down now? And we've got a big fight. So here's the fight that's going on that nobody really wants to talk about. The fight is that the Federal Reserve is trying to raise rates to curb inflation. Inflation is too much money chasing too few goods. Yet the fiscal policy says, let's spend more money.
Well, maybe if we weren't giving away so much money to entities and things outside of our U.S. border, maybe that might help. Just want to throw that out there. But then again, what the heck do I know? No, I'm sure that wouldn't help. No, let's go keep giving billions and billions of dollars to foreign governments. And I want to ask you a question. Why don't other countries do that? Why is it that it's the only country that does that, at least to the extent that we do it, is the United States? Why is that? I mean, it's unbelievable. It's almost like we have so much money, we want to give it to other people when we don't have so much money. It's just
We're
like
30 some dollars in debt, right?
30 trillion and counting.
Yeah. So the irony is, so we're sending money to Ukraine, and well, not really sending money. We're sending equipment, mostly equipment going to Ukraine. Ukraine is fighting Russia. We're having to deal with China sending a virus to kill us, and they're sending pills to Mexico to send across the border to kill us. And now China is going to go to Ukraine and broker a deal with Russia.
Yeah.
How does this all work?
Please explain this whole chess match to me. It's totally amazing the logic here.
I mean, you just have to, and nobody questions these things. Where's the,
we question them all the time. No one's listening, and nor do they care.
That's the whole issue. I mean, the media, I'm part of it. I guess I've got to be careful, but the media doesn't want to question it. We just have 7 listeners, but the media doesn't want to question all these issues as to why is this happening? What's going on? Why would we send $400 billion worth of equipment to Ukraine so that China can go over there and work with them? Something doesn't add up.
It all doesn't add up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that part's true. But the bottom line here is we've got to watch these issues. Is that going to, now if we stop sending that money over there, maybe it's just so we can, when you go to the grocery store and you look at the milk, and if they don't put the old milk in the back, the front milk gets stale, so they've got to rotate their stock.
Got to rotate the milk.
Is that so? Do we have to rotate the tanks and
probably
and the bombs and all that? I don't know, but it does help, I guess, create some jobs somewhere.
Big rotation of death.
There you go. And it's amazing how we continue to do it, and are we getting ahead with it? That's the question mark. But is it going to help us with our real estate? That's on our own. How do we bring that all the way down from the absurd to what does it mean for us in real estate?
Less absurd.
There you go.
From absurd to relatively absurd.
Do you see it the way I'm looking at it, Beef, with the concept of it will help real estate value, maybe not values, but affordability?
I absolutely do, and I hope it does, because right now we have a lot of people out there that, especially these young people, millennials and other people, aka the end of Western civilization as we know it, the millennials and the Generation Z, who are like, oh my God, 5, 6, 7% interest rates. Oh no, folks. I mean, Ron and I are old enough, unfortunately, to remember 1981 when if you had good credit, you were paying 17% interest rates. I mean, it's unbelievable. I remember back in 1991. 1995, I got a call from an LO, just like you, wanting to drum up
loan officer.
Sorry, everybody, loan officer. Yeah, wanting to drum up refi business. So he just had a list he was calling, and he goes, "Hey, I want to adjust your rate and save you money." I'm like, "All right, what do you got?" And he goes, "Well, what do you got?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "What's your current rate?" I said, 5.95. This was 1995. He goes, 5.95. He goes, "Wow, I can't touch that within a point," and he hung up. So that was a great rate then. It's just that in the last 10 years, we've been so spoiled by interest rates that are artificially low. And now these kids think that, oh my gosh, you got to pay 5, 6, and 7%. Historically, interest rates are actually still lower than the historical average if you average out everything out there. So for those people out there who think that it's a terrible time to buy a house, it's the best time to buy a house, not only because
second best, Beef.
Second best?
Second best time to buy a house. And we're going to talk about
what's the first one?
We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
And artificially low interest rates. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your budget getting blown up with high prices of gas and increased costs for other household needs? This is Ron Siegel, host of the daily Home and Finance radio program. Did you know if you have a low interest rate mortgage along with auto debt, credit card debt, or student loans, your family could potentially save $500 or more per month by restructuring these debts? If you'd like a free Borrow Smart analysis with our team, let's book an appointment to see how we might be able to relieve some stress. Schedule your appointment at rsrbsa.com. That's rsrbsa.com. for your free Borrow Smart analysis. rsrbsa.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. Leverage your equity when you sell your house. One of the benefits of being a homeowner is that you build equity over time. By selling your house, that equity can be used toward purchasing your next home. But before you can put it to use, you should understand exactly what equity is and how it grows. Bankrate explains it like this, quote, home equity is the portion of your home you've paid off. In other words, your stake in the property as opposed to the lender's. In practical terms, home equity is the appraised value of your home minus any outstanding mortgage and loan balances. Majority of Americans have a large amount of equity. If you've owned your home for a while, you've likely built up some equity and you may not even realize how much. Based on data from the U.S. Census Bureau and Adam, the majority of Americans have a substantial amount of equity right now. And if you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 video feed, you're seeing a chart. Americans sitting on tremendous equity, 68.1% have paid off their mortgages or have at least 50% equity, 68.1%. And having such large amounts of equity is benefit to homeowners in more ways than one. Rick Sharga, Executive Vice President of Market Intelligence at Adam, explains, quote, record levels of home equity provide security for millions of families and minimize the chance of another housing market crash like the one we saw in 2008, unquote. Over time, your home equity grows. In addition to providing some financial stability while you own your house, when you're ready to sell it, that money could go a long way toward paying for your next home. Bottom line, by selling your house and leveraging your equity, it can be easier to pay for your next home. Let's connect today and chat about this. What about even the idea of not selling your home to buy your next home? What about just taking money out of your next home, out of your current home, keep it, and buy another home, especially if I'm right and interest rates do start to throttle back down right now? That'll be a big benefit for you. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by the area trusted real estate professionals of Ron Siegel Radio. Visit rsrhomescout.com, rsrhomescout.com. So we are chatting this morning. Beef Wellington Pendell from the Career Compass is with us. He goes out there and chats with real estate agents all day, every day, helping them. And we're going to get to this in a minute. He shows them a tremendous strategy, which you've heard several times on Ron Siegel Radio. Sometimes I even tell you that I borrowed it from Beef. But he's the one that came up with this. But before we went to the break, we were chatting about two issues that I want to circle back on. No, don't call me. What's her name? What was the gal's name? The previous press secretary.
the gal
that
St. Pierre.
No, the other one before that.
Oh,
that was circle back on everything.
Jen Stocky. Yeah.
Yeah. So circling back in any.
My favorite was one before that, which was a McEnany, who was just hot coming and going, both mentally and visually. Amazing woman.
Yes, very good. Okay, so I said that it's the second best time to buy.
Well, I actually wanted to ask about your definition of equity. That's how they defined it. Is the part of your mortgage you've paid off? Wouldn't it be the part of
the difference between that current value?
Yeah.
Less your encumbrance.
Okay, because you're saying is the part that you paid off. Like, wouldn't it be the part you paid off plus the appreciation in the house?
Yeah, both issues. Exactly. So second best time to buy, because I'm going to suggest that about a year ago was the best time to buy.
Really?
Maybe 2 years ago.
Why a year ago?
Well,
prices were still really high.
Prices were lower than they are today.
Okay.
And interest rates were lower than they are today. But we can't turn the clock back. Beef, we can only buy based on where they are now. That's why I say that today is the best. I agree with you. Today's the second best because you can't turn the clock back.
When's the best time to invest in real property? Right now. Always right now.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens. Over time, it's always the best thing to do.
And the best time to sell it is about 3,000 years because it's going to be higher than it is today.
3,000 years.
Right? I mean, so So it comes down to what's your family's goals and needs, right? If you're looking at it as a place to live, okay. If you're looking at it as a place to invest, okay. It's all about what your family needs. That's the whole issue. Now, you made a comment before, Beef, about interest rates were artificially low.
Yep. Artificially low in 2020 and 2021, because otherwise we're all going to die. We're all during lockdown, and oh my gosh. So not only did the government come in and give us 2.5% interest rates on 30-year fixed, and even lower than that on VAs and 15 years. I mean, did you see the 15-year rate back in 2021? It was 1.89.
Change, yeah.
I mean, my God, that's not just free money. That's money coming back to you. That's just wow.
Well, and as long as everybody was making money at it, you can keep it there forever until it got to the point where you start printing money. Right. I mean, if you're not printing more money, but you keep those bonds low, it becomes a market issue, right? The market, if there's not enough, the price will go up. If there's too few, the price will go down. It'll just become a supply and demand issue.
Well, I mean, yeah. And the whole idea that the interest rates were super, super low during COVID. I mean, why do you think that was?
Because people were buying stuff then, and the Fed just got out of the way.
If you lock people down in their houses and keep telling them that it's 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and that never happens over 2 years, no one's going to buy, no one's going to sell, no one's going to do anything because they're sitting at home waiting for things to end, which are not going to be ending. So if you lower the interest rates, not only do you create this massive amount of demand of people who never were able to buy a house, but oh my God, 2.5 rate. I mean, you know this. I mean, what was your refi business like in 2020 and 2021, Ron?
Huge. Yeah,
huge.
A lot of people.
Oh my God, people were making LOs were becoming millionaires just in refi businesses. It was amazing.
And the beauty of it now is it's all strategic, because I was talking to a veteran last week, and we ended up helping him with a 2.25% interest rate, 30 years fixed. Love that, right? I mean, so he's
wait, last week you got
he and I were talking last week.
Oh, okay.
That's where his rate is.
Oh yeah, 2.25.
Is at 2.25. Is he gonna ever sell that? Well, I hope not, because or is he gonna ever give up on that? No, because you can't get that money again.
Well, hold on. You're right. You can't get that money. But if people bought in 2020 and 2021, and here's what most people don't think about. Let's say I got a fantastic interest rate, and you know as well as I do that you date the rate and marry the house, which is another reason why you should buy now, because we know that interest rates are going to fluctuate. But you can buy a house for less expensive than 2020 and 21 when you're getting nothing but $200,000-$300,000 over asking in one of these in the affluent areas.
Sure.
But think about it this way: if you've got a house that is you bought for $200,000 to $300,000 over its, let's say, realistic value, because things are going crazy in 2020, 21,
sure,
but you have this 2.25% interest rate that you don't want to get rid of. Is that really financially viable? What would be better, especially if somebody is an empty nester and wanted to move down in house price? They're better off taking a 6 or 7% interest rate, lowering their overall monthly payment, putting some equity in the bank or something like that, and getting rid of that 2.25%, even though it's a great rate, but it's on a house, it's on an asset that was overinflated to start with.
Well, I would say I agree to a certain extent, because there are right now, if you've got that property, what I've come across many times lately is, okay, so you've got this house that maybe you paid more than you should have.
Yeah.
But you've got a rate that's so low that you could go out and rent it with a positive cash flow and take some of the equity out of it and buy another property and still keep that one, because 10 years from now, that price, you're going to wish you had paid that price. You would wish you could buy it for, even though you paid an inflated price.
Well, in 10 years, yeah. But think about it this way. Let's say I bought a house that has a realistic value of $1 million, but I paid 1.2 because of the interest rates that we had way back when.
Okay.
All right. Can I really rent that out for a positive cash flow?
If I'm on a 2% interest rate or 3% interest rate, probably.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. What would you rather have? A $1.2 million house at 2.2% interest, or a $900,000 house at 6%? That's good.
2.2.
Really? Okay.
Because I actually went through, because that was one of the memes that was going around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I went through and I actually did all the numbers. I am a numbers nerd. And
somebody do the numbers for us on that. Okay. I want a $900,000 house at 6% and a $1.2 million house at 2.2%. What is the monthly payment on both those things?
What was the loan amount on the higher one?
Okay. 1.2 at 2.5%. Okay, or 900,000 at 6.
Okay, so we can do that pretty quick here and come up with numbers.
Who's got a mortgage calculator here for
I've
us?
got one right here.
All right.
It just takes me a second to open up because we weren't. So on $900,000. Now we're talking about loan amount, not
Yeah, just say
property value.
loan amount, because
Otherwise I
the
can't.
down payment's going to vary. So let's say you got a loan amount of 1.2 million versus a loan amount of 900,000 at those two interest rates.
95 is your 900,000 at 6%.
It's 53.95. Okay.
And if we go at 120, 123, and we do that at 2.5, 47.41.
Okay. So the 900,000 is slightly more, right?
Right.
Okay. Now here's the point, and this is totally it makes total sense. Take the $900,000 house. What is the chance of you being able to refi that house in the future within the next 3 years?
High. Absolutely.
Down to what? Maybe 4%. Okay.
Sure.
Now do 900 at 4%.
Hey, wait a second. I want to do this one here. This one here is giving us a $654 a month savings.
Right.
Now you said, which one do you want me to go at 4%?
Okay. Now we're gonna fast forward 3 years, and we're gonna take the $900,000 house that is currently at 6%, and we're gonna refinance it at, let's just say it's 4.
That comes out to $42.96.
Okay. There. So now you've got a high payment at the 6, a medium payment at the 1.2, and a low payment $42.96 on the 4. So this right here, all said and done, if you kept the house for 30 years, is a better investment than this one, right? Because you
over
only
how
pay,
much time?
Well, you only pay the additional $654 for 3 years while this interest rate came down.
But this one's going up at 5.35%, and this one's going up at 5.35%. So you're going to end up making more money on the 1.2 over time, because you got 300,000 times 5.35.
Okay, well, that's a good question. Is this the same house, or are these two different houses?
No, I'm using it on the same house.
If it's the same house, I bought this one for 900.
And this is going to go up. They're both going up at 5. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so then you're looking at the spread also coming in there.
Yeah, because if these are
But you can't buy them at 900 right now.
You can't.
You're saying these. Well, I don't know which area that you're talking about, but I haven't seen any place that property values have dropped 25%.
Okay. You mean
you've seen areas where property values have dropped 25%?
Yes, from 2020 and 2021 rates. Yeah. Now, is that statewide? No. But what is the statewide average? Now, when you think about that, think about areas like La Jolla that hasn't come down one bit.
So then they're still at 1.2.
Yeah, big time. I just talked to a realtor the other day, and she's like, I'm still getting, even at the interest rates we have right now, I'm still listing it at 1.2 and still getting offers $100,000 over.
Okay, so then that 1.2 wasn't overpriced then.
Not in that area. Okay, but
well, if you're talking Austin, Texas, or San Jose, California, or Idaho, there are those 4 cities.
If we're going to talk about how much houses have come down, what is anybody out there? If anybody's, go ahead and chime in on the Ron Siegel radio show here. What is the average house price reduction in the last 12 months in the state of California? Is it been 10%, 8%, 15%? Because here's why, because it's a mix. So La Jolla hasn't come down any, but Palmdale has come down 30%. And I'm not bashing on Palmdale. It's a very nice town. I was out there for their melanoma festival. Very nice. But point being is you're talking about the areas here. So in the bread and butter areas, okay, bread and butter areas are not La Jolla, Carlsbad, Beverly Hills, San Mateo, and everything else like that. Those bread and butter areas are like, okay, let's talk Murrieta. Okay, let's take La Mesa. Let's take Santee.
We're going to do a couple of those in that minute when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. I don't even know what the heck we're going to talk about, but we're not going to get to the Your Credit Matters segment today. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. You have a credit report. It is wrong. They all are. What are you doing about it? Two tools for you, or a tool for you to help. rsrccpayment.com. rsrccpayment.com. Go there, grab the report, watch the video. It'll tell you how you can add maybe 150 points to your credit score. rsrccpayment.com. rsrcredittips.com. Help you with just a few tips right there to get that for you. Want to mention also quickly, because I want to get back to our conversation with Wellington, that our bracket challenge is opened. rsrbracket.com. rsrbracket.com. $10 get you a bracket. We're going to send a portion of all the proceeds goes to charity. Love doing things for charity. So go there and start your March Madness bracket, rsrbracket.com. Let's get back to our conversation. Oh, let me put this in here because I have.
I'm going to go do the bracket.
Go for it. So I wanted to chat with you.
Who do you like? Who do you like in the Final Four?
Probably Alabama.
Yeah?
I think they might be the one.
All right.
So I wanted, because we're probably not going to get to it, have enough time. I'm going to have Beef come on and chat about this because we've gotten on some sidetracks today. Go to rsrsalesmax.com, rsrsalesmax.com. I don't do it as well as Beef does in chatting about how you can, the cut rate brokers are cutting your prices, your net value on real estate. If you go to a cut rate broker, a 6550 or a flat rate or 1% listing or all these other things, those are geared to make the agent money quickly and not maximize your value of your real estate. Half the stuff that's in there, I adopted from a lot of the trainings that I've attended where Beef's taught it. And, you know, he's the master, I'm the pupil, and Sensei here still has it better. But rsrsalesmax.com, we'll have Beef come back and talk about that. But we were chatting about the idea of investing in real estate before the break. And, you know, there's a lot of things going on in real estate. And Wellington is really completely accurate in the fact that whatever interest rate you get today is really not going to be what you're going to hold long term. We're going to see interest rates go back down again. I hope they don't ever go back into the 2s or 3s because that means our economy is not doing well. So hopefully they don't go there. 4s would not surprise me. 5s will be sooner than later. That doesn't mean wait because real estate values are still going up in so many areas. But you know, you and I were chatting in the quick break right there that there are certain areas property values are diminishing.
There are areas, and of course, when property values diminish because we're having a bad economy, where do they diminish first? In the underlying areas. Okay, of course, in the heavily populated areas, that's the last place to go. You know, so if you want to invest in real estate, if that's your idea. Oh, and by the way, you're right about the whole discounters, these 1% realtors, these iBuyers, the Open Doors, the Offer Pads, the Zillows of the world. These people, just so you'll know, those transactions are designed to put money in their pocket as quick as possible. Even if they're cutting their rate, the more money you make, the faster you make it. You're still making money. Time is money.
Sure.
So every discounter out there,
they make money.
They make money. You are not making money. Okay, that is not how to maximize the equity in your house. Not how to maximize. Even their own numbers show it. And if you are a realtor, real estate professional, or even an owner, you can go to The Career Compass, which is where I work, thecareercompass.com. And our training basically shows with their own numbers, with these discounters' own numbers, that you make less money based on the cut in your equity selling a house quicker. It's just the way it works.
And that's the bottom line is just think about the concept. Here's the concept. Everybody wants to make money. People are not in this to give away their services.
Right.
So if they're selling at 1%, you have to ask yourself why. And the answer to that question is they can sell 2 houses or 3 houses real quick, and the consumer gets less than the best pricing.
Definitely less than the best pricing. Definitely less than the best negotiation. Basically, the fact that they're selling it quick is a sacrifice to your equity. There you go. Just think about it.
There you go. Sacrifice your equity and the money in your pocket.
That's right.
So you were talking, go on, because we only have a couple minutes, Beef, about the concept. Now, I talk right now, why would anybody want to invest in real estate in Los Angeles?
Well, that's a good point. Just today, and you saw the report just today, the government came out and said most of the big cities in our country are ungovernable. That's what they said. They said, no, it's not because of Democrat policies. It's not because of looting and rioting and, these smash mobs. No, it's ungovernable. Okay. Thank you. Your Chicago mayor, Lori Lightfoot, wasn't she a delight, and wasn't she effective? Not. Anyway, point being is most, if you're going to talk about price reductions because of a bad economy, inflation, it hits the outlying areas first, as always.
Sure.
Okay. So if you can buy a house for 5, 10, 15% below its market value or what it was a year ago, that's where you want to go. Because right now we have
What if you can't buy it at 5% or 10% below?
Keep shopping because they're out there.
Okay.
And that's the thing is, in my opinion, in the next 3 to 5 years, people are going to start going away from the metro areas because, again, they're ungovernable. And that's going to drive people where? Into the suburbs, into the outlying areas, and prices are going to be going up again. So right now you have, in my opinion, you have a trough and an opportunity. Now, I might be wrong, but again, it won't be the first time in my life.
Sure.
You have an opportunity to buy at a realistic price, might be a slightly higher interest rate, but a realistic price in the outlying areas, refinance it in a couple of years. Now the prices will start going up. Now you've got that value, you get the valuable house and the low interest rates. You get the best of both worlds.
Makes a lot of sense. And so one of the areas that Beef and I were talking about during the break was Temecula, California. So we're looking right now, Temecula, California, the 5-year appreciation average is 8.36%. Anomaly. 10 years, 8.23%. But let's look at 63 years, 5.03%. So properties are appreciating.
Did you say 63 years?
63 years.
Not 64, not 62, 63.
Black Knight gives us 63.
Okay. Is that based on something? All right.
Maybe that's all the time they had as far as data to go back.
I guess.
But they also, it makes it an even year. What's that, 1960? Goes back to 1960, isn't that? Yeah.
Okay.
So 1 year forecast is 3.25% appreciation. And 5-year cumulative is 24.64. So the bottom
24.64 on a 5-year cumulative.
Cumulative.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what the forecasting is showing. So the bottom line here is it's still a good time to buy, which is what you said before.
It is a great time to buy right now, and you realtors out there need to get a hold of your buyers and speak to them. Okay, we have this technique on the Career Compass, our C4, which is our online mentoring and coaching program, called the Buyer's Checkmate, and it's a way to buy now. Use a 3-2-1 or a 2-1 buy down, whatever it is. Buy now, refinance it later. I'm telling you, this is the time to buy. Prices right now you're already starting to recover a little bit. So now is the time to buy. Get a hold of your buyers. Quit letting them tell you that, I want to wait until interest rates go down. No, you don't. You want to buy now, refinance later. Again, the motto in the mortgage business is what? Date the rate and marry the house.
So here's 2 tools for you. Number one is, and this is the foundation. So foundation is go to rsrbuydown.com. rsrbuydown.com. That explains what the buy down is. There's 4 different types of buy downs out there. There's temporary buy downs, there's permanent buy downs. Temporary buy downs help with your budget. Permanent buy downs help your budget and your affordability, helping you qualify. But you get that in there. But then what you need to do is go to thecareercompass.com, thecareercompass.com, and you're able to get the checkmate, is what you call it, right?
Yeah, the
buyer's checkmate.
The buyer's checkmate, which is our newest technique out of over 100 different techniques that we teach for realtors. That's our newest one, and is basically a way to show your buyer that it is a good time to buy right now, even though they think it isn't.
I haven't seen it, but I'm going to go to the Career Compass. It's on the C4. Is that what it is?
It's on the Career Compass and C4. If for any reason you can't find it, just give our office a call, and we'll be happy to help you out with that.
Absolutely. So there's a couple tools for you, and what I'll do is I'll try and find where the link is to it, and we'll put that in the show notes so that you can get a hold of thecareercompass.com and check out The Buyer's Checkmate. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.